One, two, three, sync. Alright. Let's try this out. I need to adjust this volume. Hello, everyone. This is Starsmadas, and we are today doing a Field of Fleet video, but a very special Field of Fleet video. The Field of Fleet is our videos about builds. Anyway, there's a little logo there. As we go on here, I'm going to be talking about my build for the Antares shipyard Horde mission, and the gist of that mission is you have, I think, at least 3 ships and 2 enemies, and every time you kill an enemy, that enemy dies, but 2 more enemies appear. So you basically got an exponential death scenario, and you have to survive for 1 hour, or at least that's suggested. And the go-to ship I've seen a lot of people choosing is the Sutherland from the... Oh, my tablet just turned off there. It's the Sutherland from the 2017 starter, and it's considered one of the best ships in the game. In fact, I think very recently it was named the second best ship by the shipyard in the entire game. So the thing about that... Oh, come on. Sorry, my tablet is glitching out. Don't, no. No, what are you doing? There we go. Hey, oh, stop! Keeps turning itself off. Don't cut corners on the hardware, kids. Anyway, so this is seen as one of the best ships in the game, and the reason being is because its ability is when defending, cancel 1 crit. I mean 1 hit. Not 1 crit, just 1 hit. And that's seen as a pretty good power in this game. But I don't think it's actually the best for this scenario. And I did a whole bunch of number crunching and like a lot of math in order to figure this out. And I believe that there is another ship in this game which is very, very underplayed, so much so that I think I've only even heard of it being used twice outside of a review of the product itself. And that would be a ship from the same pack, and that is the 2017 Enterprise D. Now, it's not a bad ship by any means, but the reason people don't tend to play it is because people prefer the starter set version of the Enterprise D, which of course gives you a 360 attack. Because most people would prefer a 360 attack to canceling 1 hit. No, to canceling a dice. See, here's the thing. Sorry about that. I'm just gonna change the size of my my pen here. See, the Enterprise D's ability. Actually, I'm just gonna get rid of this. It's been a while since I used this. Oh, what is going on here? Ah! I accidentally highlighted a section. So I'm gonna need that Sutherland back up here. Basically, the difference between... See, the Sutherland and the Enterprise are similar, in that the Sutherland lets you cancel 1 hit, guaranteed. The Enterprise lets you reduce the enemy attack die by 1. And it is a much, much less used ship. And that's because, you know, if an enemy is rolling 2 dice at you, and they only roll 1 hit, the Sutherland's going to protect you. But if you are flying the Enterprise and they roll 2 dice at you, one of those dice could theoretically be the hit and one of those could be the miss. So it is a toss-up. Oops. No. What? No. Sorry about that, guys. So it is a toss-up. Oh, don't do that to me. Why is it that it always disconnects when I'm trying to draw the Sutherland? But it is a toss-up as to whether or not it's going to be the dice that you cancel. Because let's say I have 2 dice here. 2 dice that are being rolled to attack the Enterprise. One rolls a blank and the other rolls a hit. Now, if the Enterprise canceled this dice using its ability, I'll just write its stats here. It's a 4-1-5-4. And this guy here is a 4-1-4-4. The Enterprise this hit will still go through and hit it, whereas that hit would not hit the Sutherland. And that is why the Sutherland is usually played more. But I don't think it's the best choice for this mission. Now, because the mission sort of has a pseudo time limit of 1 hour, the Sutherland works perfectly fine. But if you're not playing with a time limit, then I would suggest the Enterprise. And in order to answer this question, because I was asking this my question, I was like, is it better to reduce an attack dice or just cancel a hit? And so to answer that question, I wanted to figure out the odds of getting hit with any number of attack dice. And here's the thing. If you are familiar with the 3 Doors game show math question, which has to do with probability, then you're familiar with the fact that I don't know how to spell probability. Probability sucks. It doesn't behave the way you think it will. I sure hope I'm recording. Let me check. Yes, I am still recording. I think. Pretty sure I am. I'll find out afterwards, I guess. Alright. Actually, I'm just gonna check. Yes, I am. Good. Cool. Alright. 1, 2, 3, sync. Okay, sorry about that. Just needed to do some work here. Okay, so I wanted to calculate the probability of being hit, because that can be used to try and figure out whether the Enterprise D ability or this USS Sutherland ability is better. So let us take a look at the red dice. Let's change to a red color here. So the red dice has 8 faces. And those faces are crit. And there's 1 crit. There are 3 hits. No. And there are, I believe, I need to go back on my notes here. I believe there's 2 battle stations and 2 misses. Yes. There are 2 battle stations. And there are 2 blanks. Now, in this scenario, the enemies that attack you roll 3 dice. And they have no quality. So these here can be considered all a miss. And for the sake of our example here, we'll consider these a hit. And that will be, that won't be an X. I'm using that symbol visually, so that will be a hit. Now this does come at this part here. The crit does come into play when it comes to the Sutherland. But as far as the Enterprise is concerned, we only have to worry about hits. So what are the odds of being just hit in general? Well, it's actually 50-50 with one dice. Because this is 4, and this is 4, and that's the 8-sided die. So it is 50-50. So that's the odds of being hit by one dice. But the math actually gets a little screwy from there. Let me just turn over. So I did a whole bunch of annoying, crazy math stuff, and in the end I actually started constructing, like 3D matrices, and then I actually ended up constructing a 4D matrix to do this math. But let's just take a look here, shall we? Let's just show you the odds of rolling 2 dice here, shall we? So we've got a crit, then we've got a hit, and then we'll consider it 4 blanks. Here we've got ourselves the crit. So we know the odds of being hit with one dice is 50-50, right? Yes, I already explained that. This is where things get interesting. What are the odds of being hit? Now, this is hit at least once. This is not being hit with 1, 2, 3, 4. This is getting hit at least once. So there we have our option for being hit with 2 crits. Everything in this column here counts as being hit because we suffered this crit. Everything in this column here, that's also considered a hit. Oh, so yeah, I should probably explain, where's my calculator? It's in my dice kit, isn't it? Honestly, sometimes it's faster to do math than actually just reread my notes. Alright, so in total we actually have 64 options here, just so you know. Now, these are all us getting hit at least once. Oh, I forgot my, what am I doing? I forgot these. So we can extend that again. Now, because these also apply, so these are all being hit. These carry on, so this whole area is being hit, and this whole area is being hit, and this area here. Oh no! This area here is where we are not hit, and this is for the odds of being rolled with 2 dice. And this works out to actually 75%. There's a 75% chance of you being hit at least once when the enemy rolls 2 dice. Now the Sutherland will actually take out this whole section here. So as a result, your odds improve quite a bit when it comes to being hit with 2 dice for the Sutherland. Considering that this is the hypothetical. Actually, this here is not 100% correct with the Sutherland, but we're going to find out a bit later that the math doesn't matter too much on the Sutherland because the Enterprise has a trick up its sleeve. What are you doing? So yeah, this was a bit a while ago, so I've forgotten a little bit of this, but the basic gist of it is the odds of being hit by 1 dice are 50. The odds of being hit by 2 dice is 75. And if you continue to expand that matrix out, which started as a line, then became a grid like this, it eventually becomes a really interesting 3D shape. Of probability, which I personally just really love. Oh my gosh, what am I doing? No, turn that to gray. And this strange cube structure thing actually ends up taking up, wait for it. So this is 1 dice, that's 2 dice. This represents 3 dice, and it's actually 50%. I then ended up creating a 4D shape using a timeline. And let's see, do I have that picture somewhere? Still saved. Ah, here we go, yeah. So we'll go this, Control C, Control V. Ugh. Oh, there we go. Found it. So we're going to create a 4th dimensional matrix using this timeline. Excuse me, I just need to do some compression here. Merge with layer below. That's funny, after a certain point of doing all this math, it actually becomes easier to switch from pure calculations to graphical calculations using this. Okay, so we're going to take this, transform that, shall we? And take this one, transform that. And this does some tricky stuff here. Oh, that's the wrong one. I think I'll finish this diagram. I've already worked this hard. But the odds of being hit with 4 dice. Now, oh, by the way, you might be asking, why do I care about 4 dice? Because the enemies in this game only roll 3 attack dice. The reason being is because they have a 360 arc. And with a 360 arc, you get 0 dice at range 3. You'll get your 3 dice at range 2, but you'll get 4 dice at range 1. And it's that range 1 I'm worried about. Because I have a trick up my sleeve for the Enterprise. So let's just see here. This represents... So, okay. Each of these squares here represent the compiled... each of these cubes represent the compiled probability of being hit with 3 dice. And this line here represents the 4th dice being rolled. So this here, in this scenario, that's a crit. That's a hit. 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 And we can call this the battle stations. Battle stations, which is going to be a miss for the record. And those are misses. So here we've got, and remember, the probability for these cubes are 50. So on 2 dice it's 75, on 3 cubes it's 50. So in this case, what was it? Because these are all hits, we know for a fact that these are all guaranteed hits. So this is 50% times 100%. This is 100%. This is a percentage of this percentage, by the way, which is just 50%. So now here, this is where things get tricky. So these are all misses. So we don't know whether these are going to be hits or not. But we know these are going to be misses. So this is 50% times 50%, which is 25%. And you know what happens when you add 50 and 25%? You get 75%. Now, I don't feel like going into the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th dimensions for this this board game here. But so far we can see that there's a distinct pattern of, for every odd number of dice you roll, the chances of being hit are 50%. With at least 1 damage, by the way. At least 1. This isn't taking into account all that extra damage you're going to get. But for every even number, it appears to be a 75% chance of being hit. And this number is actually really useful if you want to fly the Enterprise, because you can better calculate when you want to reduce your enemy's attack dice or not. Alright, so let's just remove this. So, now let's go back to the Sutherland here. And our good old friend the Enterprise D. And try to figure out which is going to be best for this scenario. So, the odds of the Enterprise, so when your enemy is rolling 1 attack dice, the odds of the Enterprise being, well, the odds of the Sutherland being hit is 1 out of 8, because it can only take the crit. The odds of the Enterprise being hit are 0 out of 8, because that dice doesn't exist. Alright, what about 2 dice? This gets a bit tricky, but let's see if I can remember this math here. Ooh. This might be wrong, but I think this is probably wrong, just letting you know, but I think it was like 31.3%. Whereas the Enterprise, it becomes 50%. Actually, no. Wait, no, what am I doing? Yeah, I think that's right. It's probably not right, but I'm going to roll with this. When you roll 3 dice, it becomes something like 37.5. I think this math's actually wrong. I think I checked my math later on, and this was proved wrong. I think it's closer to 40-something%, like 40, 41 or something like that. The point is that the Enterprise, at best, is 0 to begin with, then it becomes 75, 50, and then 75. And the Sutherland is... essentially, it hovers a little bit below this under normal circumstances. Like, I think this is 51, and then here it's about 50. No, sorry. I think it's about 41. And around here it's like 45. So the Sutherland, most of the time, actually is your best pick for your ship. But it's not my pick for this mission. And the reason being is because there is a card I pair with the Enterprise, which you might be familiar with. Shield Adaptation. And this reduces the enemy attack dice by 2. So, this means, remembering that at let's remove that there. That at range 1, the Sutherland is going to take... I don't want to write that out. Let's just draw it. The Sutherland is going to be taking normally 4 dice, and that is now converted to 2 dice. And if we open up our previous page, that means it's going to be like, I don't know. Let's use the early math that I'm pretty sure is wrong. It has like a 31% chance of being hit, which isn't right. Okay, point is, it has a slightly less than... its chances are slightly less than 50% of it being hit with 2 dice. At range 1. At range 2, the Sutherland takes 1 dice, in which case it only has a 1 in 8 chance of being hit, which is 12.5%. So at range 2, the Sutherland has a 12.5% chance of being hit. That sounds really good. Here's the thing, though. When you apply this mod... Oh, yeah, this is taking... What's happening? I don't know. Okay. So remember that this is with the reduced dice. The Enterprise, on the other hand, at range 1... The Enterprise at range 1 is only taking 1 dice, which means there's only a 50% chance of being hit. Now... You might be like, well, the Sutherland has a slightly less than 50% chance of being hit at range 1, I think. Something like that. Whereas the Enterprise has a higher chance of being hit. Here's the thing. At range 2, the Enterprise has a 0% chance of being hit. And most of the time, the enemy ships are going to be at range 2. And I think this video carried on way too long, but the basic gist of it is when you're taking... is in this scenario, if you use this upgrade, the Sutherland gives you a pretty decent statistical chance of success. Because you're only taking 2 dice, and due to its hit cancellation, it greatly boosts your odds of success. But with the Enterprise, you're at most taking 1, and you're usually taking 0 dice. And that's why I would run the Enterprise in this scenario. So now... let's talk about my build. The rest of my builds. So I use the Enterprise D, which comes in at 26 points. And it is a 4154, and that is a tech weapon crew. For Captain, I chose... Hey, come back here. For Captain, I chose Robert D. Soto, who is a Captain Skill 4 with 3 points. He lets you re-roll your green dice. Sorry, my tablet's freaking out again. Hey, what are you doing? He lets you re-roll your green dice. For every crew... Turn back on. For every crew member you have, up to a max of 3. So, now remember, the enemy is attacking you at range, at most, with 1 dice. And you have re-rolls now. So that is pretty good. We'll get into that in a minute. I then added... What are you doing? I then added... Oh, wait. Yeah, he was... how many points was he? Yeah, he's 3 points. Stop turning on and off, please. I then added systems upgrade, which of course, as you know, adds a +1 to your shield, and it gives you a tech slot, and that is 2 points. Then of course we have the. Can you stop turning on and off all the time? What is going on with you? Then on top of that we have the shield adaptation, which reduces enemy attack dice by 2. Let's just make a note up here. This is ATK -1. And this one is 5 points. That's pricey, but it's worth it for this build. Now, as a backup system, I add, because the thing is, the shield adaptation deactivates as soon as your shields go down. So I added the enhanced plating upgrade from the NX-01, which gives you 2 dodges. Nope. That looks dumb. Which gives you 2 evasion at the cost of 2 ox. Which is a bit sad, but in this scenario we are already losing because our shields are down. I then, of course, gave us... Oh, wait, yeah, how much is that one? That one is 4 points. Let's just circle all these point values so I can find them later. Then I got dorsal phaser array, which, of course, is amazing. So now, basically, this Enterprise is as good as the Enterprise... It basically has the ability of the Enterprise most people play. Enterprise D most people play. So this one here is... How many points is that? Primary weapon +2. Okay, so this is 5 SP. Now, back up to defense. Remember, we're only taking 1 dice against our ship. We've got Hood Riker. That is the worst picture of Riker ever. Here, how can we make him look like Riker? Let's have him standing over top of a chair. I can actually draw people. I just can't draw people that quickly. So he gives you... Let's go back to green. He gives you +1 defense. And he lets you convert a battle stations into an evade. So now our ship is actually rolling 2 defense dice with 3 rerolls and a battle stations conversion. And he is worth 3 points. After that, we've got Sulu from the Enterprise, the original series. So let's give him a rapier to say that he is Sulu. And he can boost your agility for an action, mind you. So once your shields go down and you start using your emergency stuff here, this ability will drop. But as long as your shields are up, which theoretically should stay up for a long time, you get to boost your agility by 2. So now we're actually rolling 4 defense dice with 3 rerolls and a battle stations conversion every time they attack us. And this is all to counter at max 1 enemy dice. My tablet's turning off. Come on, come back on, please. And finally, no, turn on, please. Please. No, not like this. No. No. It just turned off. Let's turn you back on. We're pretty much done here, actually. But I have Eric Moaz. Okay, my tablet's not wanting to turn back on, which means I can't draw anymore. Well, I can. It'll just be a bit weird. Yeah. So let's just look at this for a moment. The Enterprise has a 360 fire of 4 dice, fighting an exponentially, infinitely large army. Well, not infinite, but, you know, a near infinite army, and at most they can roll 1 attack dice against him. And the Enterprise will be rolling 4 green dice against that 1 attack dice. This isn't like once per round you boost your thing up. I tried to avoid any ability which said, oh, you boost it for once per round. No, this is every time you're attacked. You are rolling 4 green dice. You have 3 rerolls, and you have a battle stations conversion for one of those. So the Enterprise statistically won't get killed. It's theoretically possible for it to get killed. It is possible for it to always roll blanks, and the enemies to always roll at least 1 hit or crit. Because there'll be a 50% chance, and that's if they get into range 1 of the Enterprise. But here's the thing. I do have other ships in this build. Alright. Alright. Let me just tally up the points of the Enterprise. So that's Eric Moaz, 2 points. Sulu for 3 points. Riker for 3 points. Dorsal for 5 points. Enhanced hull plating for 4 points. Shield adaptation for actually 6 points because it is cross-faction. And shield systems upgrade for 2 points. And then DeSoto for 3 points. Best boss I ever had. And then finally the Enterprise for 26 points. That is a 54-point ship here. A 54-point ship. And so this ship, in my opinion, is so good, I would probably use it outside of this scenario. But in this scenario, you should run this. Seriously. Like, come on. They're attacking you with 1 dice, and you have some of the highest defense I've ever managed to build into a ship. You're not going to die. Now, the downside is, this is not an offensive ship, really. You're using your action every turn to boost Sulu, so you're not going to be getting battle stations or anything like that. All your cards are defensive. So it's going to be a roll of the dice on whether you can kill the enemy. But you're rolling 4 dice, so as we know, that's a 75% chance that you're going to hit them at least once. Alright. I'm just going to quickly go through the other cards in my build here. I have the USS Excelsior for 26 points with Jonathan Archer and Escape Pod because I have 1 point left over. Disruptor Pulse, Phlox, Miles O'Brien, and Alyssa Aguirre with Spock. And the gist of that ship is essentially when you fire off the combos properly. Because I can't remember the whole thing with this. But the basics of this ship is you'll get yourself a scan token. You'll be able to use battle stations conversion on all your attacks because of the scan token. And you'll be able to attack literally everyone in a 180-degree arc in front of your ship with 3 dice within range 1 to 2. So the Excelsior is the main offense ship in my build here. And then to fill out some points and to support the Excelsior, I threw in Telly's Battlecruiser because he boosts friendly ships' defense dice, and I gave him Clark Terrell. So basically, as long as the Excelsior stays within range 1 of Telly's Battlecruiser, it gets a +2 defense, so it'll be rolling 3 defense dice. But this also means that our Enterprise guy, well, our Enterprise is already rolling its max defense dice. It can't roll any more than +3, unless it were to cloak. However, this does mean that if the Enterprise is within range 1 of Tilly's Battlecruiser, it can choose to take an offensive action instead of Sulu. But yeah, so there we go. That is my build for this video.